Once again on Tusc Talks with us this morning is Milo Miller, publisher of The Budget in Sugar Creek. Milo, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Brad. I'm well. How are you?
Well, good. I'm very good, thanks. And it's good to have you on to talk about how you have been able to be a success and how Kent State Tuscarawas has been involved in that. So let's start at the present with The Budget. This is a very old publication, which I am assuming most people in our Sugar Creek East Holmes area are familiar with. Others maybe not so much. So what exactly is The Budget?
So The Budget is the largest and longest-serving publication serving the Amish and Mennonite communities throughout the Americas. So we have a national national audience that goes from coast to coast and actually abroad as well. We serve the Amish community, the Amish and the Mennonite community through their correspondence. They send letters to us. We have about 1,000 scribes, over 1,000 scribes that write in on a weekly basis, telling us what's going on in the community. We publish it for them, and that's their way of communicating back and forth. And we've been doing it for 131 years, about ready to enter our 132nd year coming up here in a few weeks.
Well, that's amazing. And there's a local section for the paper that comes out around here, right?
That is correct, yes, and that focuses on Sugar Creek and East Holmes News, so your traditional kind of local weekly newspaper as well.
All right, and you're also the publisher of The Diary, which is based out of Lancaster, PA. Is that similar?
It is very similar. It is more of a conservative audience. It is Old Order Amish exclusively, and we publish that out of southern Lancaster County, not too far from the Maryland and Delaware border, and we have a great staff out there as well, and that comes out every month, and that was a new acquisition we as the Budget took on here a few years ago.
So you are a native, a Sugar Creek area guy who went to Garaway, and so you decided at some point, I guess, that you would continue your education at Kent State Tuscarawas. Did you have publishing in mind at that time?
Absolutely not. I actually, going into Kent State University, Tuscarawas, I didn't have any ambition. I had no idea what I wanted to do, to be honest, but I knew I needed some additional education. So, going in, I really had no career path, and I absolutely had no idea that I'd get into the media, to be honest. But obviously, through Kent State Tuscarawas, I definitely found my career path, and I often joke with Dean Bilski that if I had any other opportunity to go to any other university on the face of this earth, I wouldn't have changed that plan at all, because I found my entire it was a complete life impact from my career to my personal life as well.
Right, and I'm sure the dean likes to hear that. So how did it become that you made a connection with the Budget, and eventually the path led back to Sugar Creek, I guess?
Very interesting story. So I worked here locally in Sugar Creek. I worked full time while I went to Kent State Tuscarawas, and I was asked by Ed Newman, who's a professor at Kent State Tuscarawas, to do a colloquium, which I focused on the tourism impact on small town communities, and kind of focused around the Amish and the impact on Sugar Creek and Berlin and other communities like that. So in each of these communities, I found kind of a liaison, someone to work with, and I befriended Keith Rathbun, who was the publisher of the Budget at the time, and we struck up a friendship, and we did different events even outside work and outside the colloquium, and long story short, a couple years later, I graduated from Kent State Tuscarawas, had an opportunity to move to Columbus for a career, and Ed Newman always gave these little tips, and I took them to heart, and one being like thank you notes, the impact of thank you notes, and just those little things that make impact. And the first thank you note I wrote, doing this, before I left for Columbus, was to Keith, and just thanking him for helping me along. And, I have this great new opportunity and looking forward to it. And I jotted down my cell phone number. And out of the blue, a couple days later, he gave me a call. And he's like, I've been looking for you. I haven't been able to figure out how to find you. And I got your card. And would you have some time to come in and talk? And we talked. He offered me a job on sales with the Budget at the time. But he laid out this career path for me to eventually become publisher of the Budget. And when he retired, and lo and behold, that's exactly, what happened. I, couldn't turn down the opportunity to come back to work for my hometown newspaper. Unfortunately, Keith passed a little sooner. He didn't retire. He passed on a little sooner than we expected. And so the timetable for me taking over kind of sped up a little bit.
So from the thank you note out of Kent State Tuscarawas, a tip from your professor, you got your career path.
That is absolutely correct. It's just that one small. If it wasn't for that thank you note, that 5-minute thank you note, I doubt I would be where I'm at this point.
As you look back and you had a chance to, collect things. Keith, by the way, Keith Rathbun was an amazing man who had previously published the Cleveland Scene and had ties to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So completely different from the budget, but
Absolutely.
very professional. So he was a friend of mine as well, and we miss him. But what other experiences and learning do you think you were able to pull from your time at Kent State Tuscarawas that are helping you, hopefully even today, at the budget and at the diary?
Well, of course, you the skills that you get through the coursework. I mean, the professors are just amazing. I mean, high quality all the way through, and I couldn't ask for a better team of professors through my career with Kent State Tuscarawas. But personally, just a self-confidence booster. I mean, even going into Kent State, very little confidence. Again, I had no career path, didn't know what pretty shy young man, and no idea what I wanted to do. And coming out, in 2002, graduating from Kent State Tuscarawas, I mean, my confidence, was, I felt much more confident in myself and who I was, and what I could do. And not only the skills that I obtained through that, but it was not even just the skills to manage, but the skills to lead an organization, and albeit two now. So it's the little things that I've learned along the way at Kent, the intangibles that I will carry forever, and I still use every day. So I'm beyond grateful.
Yeah, the leadership skills that you need, and especially a little bit diverse. I mean, you're working with basically a publishing company that are dealing only with old order Amish. That has to be a little bit different than even the budget.
Absolutely, yes. So it's a much more conservative audience. Thankfully, my background, or most of my background, is in the family is with the Amish community. So I do have a little bit of that backstory as well. But just able to learning to navigate those waters, even with what we do now with having the budget, and then a very, very some argue the most conservative publication serving the Amish on the other end of the spectrum. So it's interesting to kind of walk that fine line and be able to make sure we serve that audience and and do it well.
Right. What would you say to someone who's 17 years old or even 27 years old and considering Kent State Tuscarawas?
Highly recommend. I could not recommend any higher. It's just the impact. And I hear when I do talk with people and younger people, a lot of times the thing that comes up, the counter attack, if you will, is they're not going to have the college experience. I completely disagree with that. That's something that I had the full college experience. Maybe I didn't live in a dorm, but just the friendships, lifelong friendships. I mean, still to this day, friends that I talk with on a weekly basis. That's where I met my wife. Again, full life impact.
Hey, there you go.
With Kent State Tuscarawas. And to be honest, for someone like me that wanted to stay in the community, just the community impact, and the importance of the community. Now, I'm involved in multiple boards and committees, and it's because of that, being aware of the community we serve and the importance of, our community. And, that at the center of that, in my opinion, is Kent State Tuscarawas. So I would highly recommend any young person, or for that age, any age, to, pursue their aspirations at Kent State Tuscarawas, because I think most people would, find their place there.
Yes. Hey, well, Milo, thanks for being on today. And we can't go without trying to prop you up a little bit. If somebody would like to subscribe to the budget, how do they do that?
Simplest way would just be call into our office, and which is 330-852-4634, and we will take it from there. Very affordable, under $1 an issue, and usually over about 72 pages, 76 pages, 78 pages per week of information I can guarantee you will not find anywhere else.
That's for sure. Hey, we thank you again, and sounds like Kent State Tuscarawas has done it for you.
Absolutely.
Hey, have a good day, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Brad.
All right, thank you. That is Milo Miller, the publisher of The Budget in Sugar Creek and also The Diary in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Our guest this morning on Tusc Talks here on our 8:30 High Beam on the BT Morning Show.